Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, boys and girls. Welcome back to another new episode of Distance Learning Program. My dear students, today we will be starting a new lesson. This is called Quadratic Equations and Functions. This is chapter number 1 of your maths book 3. So let's start. So, my dear students, as you all know, my name is Sayyid Faraz Hassan. I am your mathematics instructor. With me, I have my team, the team of subject specialists, Sir Ashraf Ali and Ms. Shabana Salman. So, dear students, this is chapter number 1 of your Maths Book 3, Quadratic Equations and Functions. All right, again, before starting with our regular lesson, there are some housekeeping announcements. You all are expected to maintain a register or a notebook. You all are expected to use a scientific calculator. Do check Google Classroom regularly every day. Submit homework regularly. Graded assignments and tests will be there. Showing up to class 10% of the grade, it means that your attendance really matters. There will be short homework at the end of every week. So, my dear students, our learning objective for today, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to solve quadratic equations in one variable by factoring, that is the factorization method, and taking square root method. So today we will be focusing on these two methods, the factorization method and taking square root method. All right, now what is a quadratic equation? So let's read out the definition. In mathematics, a quadratic equation is a polynomial equation of the second degree. The general form is ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. Now, what is a second degree? Second degree, it means that you may have an equation with the highest power 2, okay? Or in other case, you may have a product of two variables x and y. Okay, so we won't at this initial level you won't be having the product of two different variables x and y. You will be having this case, the x square case. All right, where x represents a variable or an unknown, and a, b, and c are constants with a is equals to 0. If a is equals to 0, the equation is a linear equation. Now, you need to understand what is a quadratic equation, what is a linear equation. Linear equation is that equation in which the highest power of the variable is 1. The quadratic equation is that equation in which the highest power of the variable is 2, right? So previously in the lower grades, you have been simplifying, solving simple equations like x plus 5 is equals to 0. This is a simple equation because x is having a power 1. So this is a simple or a linear equation, right? We can call it as a linear equation. Now we will be dealing with quadratic equations, like let's suppose 2x squared plus 3x plus 4 equals to 0. This is called a quadratic equation. Now, whereas 2, 3, and 4 are, uh, the 2 is the coefficient of x squared, 3 is the coefficient of x, and 4 is the constant number. So the constants a, b, and c are called respectively the quadratic coefficients, the linear coefficient, and the constant term or a free term. The last number 4 in this example, you can call it as a constant term or a free term. So my dear students, now basically there are 5 different methods of solving quadratic equations. How many? 5 different methods of solving quadratic equation. What are those 5 methods? Number one, factoring, that is the factorization method. We will be discussing it today, and you have learned this in the lower grades as well. Taking square root method. Number 3, completing the square method. Number 4, quadratic formula. And number 5, the graphical method. Today, we will be focusing on these two, the factoring method and the taking square root method. So again, I'm repeating, there are 5 different methods of solving quadratic equations: factoring, taking square roots, completing the squares, quadratic formula, and graphical method. So my dear students, this is exercise 1A of your maths book 3. Solve question number 1. Solve each of the following equations. Now the first one, part A, is 2x squared plus 5x minus 7 is equals to 0. Now we need to apply some factorization technique to solve this. Now, if you want to apply factorization technique, so again, there are 2 methods. One is by using identity. That is, if you recall this identity, a plus b, the whole square equals a square plus 2ab plus b square. Or you may have the second identity, a minus b, the whole square, a square minus 2ab plus b square. And the second method is the breaking the middle term method, right? So in this case, as we cannot see squares, 2 is not a square, 7 is not a square, so we cannot apply this identity method here. We will be applying a method called breaking the middle term method. Remember, what do we do in that? We multiply the extreme numbers. What are the extreme numbers? Like this 2 and this 7. We need to multiply them. We can do it in our head mentally, or we can also do some working. So let's do some working. 2 into 7, the product is 14. Now we need to look for more factors of 14. uh, 14 comes in 2 times table, 14 comes in 7 times table. That's it. So again, 7 twos are 14. Now what is the middle term over here? The middle term is 5x. We need to break up this middle term 5x such that we may have 2 groups. So how do we break up this middle term 5x? By using these factors 7 and 2. So we'll split this 5x such that 7x minus 2x. Where do I get this 7 and 2? By these factors. So 2x squared plus 7x and minus 2x minus 7 is equal to 0. This is all rough working, all right, boys and girls. All right, so now we see that we have 4 terms. Previously we were having 3 terms. What we did, we split up the middle term. Okay, we break it into 2 parts, 7x minus 2x. Now we're going to take out something common from the first 2 numbers. We're going to take out something common from the last 2 numbers. That is, we are making 2 different groups. So it's only x common. So I have 2x plus 7. From the last 2 numbers, we just have a -1 common, or a negative sign common. So again, 2x plus 7. Remember, whenever we write a negative sign outside the bracket, we need to change the inner sign of the bracket. So we'll change this plus. Previously it was -7. Now we change it. We made it plus 7 is equals to 0. All right. 2x plus 7. 2x plus 7 is again common. X minus 1 is equal to 0. Now we have made 2 factors, 2x plus 7 and x minus 1. So we make 2 columns. In the first column, either 2x plus 7 is 0, shift this 7 on the other side, 2x is equals to minus 7, x is equals to minus 7 upon 2, or I could write it as x is equals to minus 3 over 2, minus 3 whole number 1 over 2. Sorry, I have short of space. So when you divide 7 by 2, 3 whole number 1 upon 2. And the other thing is, or x minus 1 is 0. Simply move this one on the other side. You have you have x is equals to positive 1. So these are the two possible answers, x equals to 1 or x equals to 3, negative 3.5. So let's move on to the next part. This is part E of the same question. Now in this case, we can see they have given you two factors, x and 3x minus 1 is equals to 2. So what you need to do, first you need to multiply them, open up the bracket, 3x squared minus x equals to 2. Remember that whenever you are asked to solve quadratic equation, you need to make it equal to 0, right? So bring this 2 on this side, 3x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. Again, you cannot apply identity method. You need to apply the same method called breaking the middle term method. What is the middle term? The middle term is negative x. So you need to break it into two parts. How are you going to do that? Multiply the two extreme numbers. Multiply the two extreme numbers. What are the extreme numbers? It's 3 and 2. So 3 2s are 6. Now look for more factors of 6. Again, 3 and 2 are the two. You may also use some other factors like 2 3s are 6, 6 1s are 6, and you need to choose the best one that fits into this middle term. So again, I need to have negative x, so I can split it as negative 3x plus 2x. Now you see, when you split it up like this, negative 3x plus 2x, what will be the difference? The difference will be negative x, and you can see it is there in the question. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to split it like this, negative 3x and plus 2x. Whereas the extreme numbers 3x squared and negative 2 as it is, no changes in that. 3x squared negative 3x plus 2x negative 2 equals to 0. Now you see you have four terms. So what can you do? You can make two groups. This is group number 1. This is group number 2. Take out something common from the first group. 3x common, x minus 1. From the second group, it's positive 2 common, x minus 1 equals 0. So we can see x minus 1 is again common. So take it out as common. 3x plus 2 equals 0. So either x minus 1 is 0, that is x equals to 1, the first answer, and 3x plus 2 or 3x plus 2 equals 0, 3x equals negative 2, x equals to negative 2 upon 3. So dear students, these are the two possible answers for this, x equals to 1, x equals to negative 2 upon 3. I hope this makes sense, and this is just a revision of your previous concept which you have learned earlier in the lower grades. So now this is the second case. This is the second method. What is the second method? Taking square root method. Taking square root method means that, as we can see, uh, in this case, we are asked to solve the quadratic equations. Uh, we can see both the sides. The first side, x plus 1 is having a whole square on it, and on the right hand side, it's 9. We know that 9 is also a perfect square of 3. So I can write it as x plus 1 whole square equals 3 square. Now we can see we have squares on both the sides. What do we do to get rid of squares? We take square roots on the two sides. So that is why we call it as taking square root methods. So take square roots on both the sides. Take square roots both sides. Remember both sides. Right? So x plus 1 the whole square equals 3 square. So I'm taking square root on this side. I'm taking square root on this side. Remember, one very important thing, whenever you take a square root, on either side you need to put a plus sign and a minus sign. Learn this as a rule. Put a plus sign and a minus sign on your own. Okay? So now square and square root, they cancel out each other. Square and square root, they cancel out each other. So we have x plus 1 is equals to plus minus 3. I'm repeating it once again. Whenever we take a square root, we put a plus sign and a minus sign on our own. So make it as a note, right? Okay, now the left hand side x plus 1 equals to two numbers. One is plus 3 and the other one is negative 3. So we're going to make two columns. Either x plus 1 equals positive 3 or the same x plus 1 equals negative 3. Okay? So when you move this positive 1 on this side, you have x equals to 3 minus 1 and you get x equals to 2. That's the first answer. When you shift this positive 1 on this side, x equals to negative 3, negative 1. So your answer is x equals to minus 4. I hope this makes sense. What we have done, we have simplified it by taking square roots on the two sides, right? And whenever we take square roots, we need to put a plus sign and a minus sign on either sides of the equation, right? And we need to do it on our own. So in this way you do it, you get make two columns. In the first column, write it the same expression of the left hand side with the positive sign. In the second column, write the same expression of the left hand side with the negative sign on the right hand side. Okay, simplify it and you get the two answers. Now I'm leaving this part. This is the same as I did. So this is your homework. Make sure you do it and check your answer from the back of the book. Okay, now the same question, taking square root method, but this time we don't have any perfect squares on the right hand sides, right? We don't see any perfect squares on the right hand side. 7 is not a perfect square. 23 is not a perfect square, but still you have your calculators with you. You can take square roots by using your calculators. You are allowed to use calculators, right? So taking square roots, that's the name of the method. Take square roots both sides. So 2x minus 3 the whole square equals 23. What am I doing? I'm taking square roots both the sides. This side and this side. Again, the same rule applies. Put a plus sign and a minus sign on your own. If you do not put a plus sign and a minus sign, you'll just simply get one answer that won't be acceptable. Whenever you are solving quadratic equation, most of the time you have two answers, right? So square root, they cancel out each other. Please use your calculator and give me the result of square root 23. So please use your calculator and give me the result of square root 23. So I have now, it's 4.79. 4.79. Now you see on the right hand side, it's positive 4.79 and negative 4.79. So what you need to do, make two columns. 2x minus 3 equals positive 4.79 or 2x minus 3 equals negative 4.79. Okay, so now shift this negative 3 on this side. So you have 2x equals 4.79 plus 3. You have 4 plus 3 is 7.79, right? In the next step, you cross multiply this 2 on the other side, 7.79 divided by 2. Again, you can use your calculator. So your answer is found to be 3.89. This is the first answer. Likewise, you do the same working with the other part. Negative 3 moves on the other side becomes positive. So you have negative 4.79, positive 3. So negative 4.79, positive 3, you get a difference of negative 1.79. Negative 1.79. Now what can you do? You can cross multiply the 2 on this other side. Negative 1.79 divided by 2. Please use your calculator. You're allowed to use a calculator in this. Negative 1.79 divided by 2. It's negative 0.89. All right. So I hope this makes sense and you have learned this concept of taking square roots on both the sides, right? Again, I'm leaving this question as homework. You're going to do it and do comment it. Okay, how have you found it? Did you get the correct answer? Please do check your answer from the back of the book. All right, so dear students, what did we learn today? We learned how to solve quadratic equations in one variable of the form ax square plus bx plus c is equals to 0 and x plus a the whole square equals to 0. This is the method we solve by factoring or factorization method, and this is it we solve by square root method. Right, boys and girls, I hope this makes sense. The two methods are quite clear to you. So thank you so much, dear students. Hopefully you have learned the concepts. Be thankful to Almighty Allah for all His blessings. There is a pro tip: attempt the homework which I've given you right after this video lesson for a better understanding. Leave a response. Please do comment and have a nice day. Hope you have enjoyed today's lesson. We'll meet again tomorrow. Until then, Allah Hafiz.